Welcome back to Mandolin Masterclass Study Group. This is a study group that is using the text written by Laird titled Mandolin Masterclass, and these lessons are developed at the Woodshed social group at mandolincafe.com. So join the Mandolin Cafe forum, come on in and join the Woodshed study group in order to join us in these lessons, and we'll be glad to have you. Okay, in lesson 4 we're going to get into arpeggios, and it's important that you have an understanding of the music theory that was taught in the first 3 lessons. And so we should by this point know how to find a major scale anywhere on the mandolin, beginning with any note. We should know that the root note or the tonic note or the key will be whatever note we start on, and we should be able to find a major scale. We should understand the intervals of the major scale, the steps and half steps, how there's a half step between the 3rd and 4th and the 7th and 8th note. All of the notes are a whole step apart. We should know these things. We should know the numbers of the notes. And then we should also know how to find a major chord or build a major chord from the major scale. So for instance, if we have if we're in the key of C, we're playing a C major scale, what are the notes that make up the C major chord? And we should know by now that that would be the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. Basically, you take the 1st note, then you skip a note. You take the 3rd note, you skip a note. You take the 5th note. And those 3 notes are called a triad of notes because there are 3 of them. They're called a triad, and those 3 notes will make the major chord of whatever scale we're in. In the key of G, the 3rd note is a B, and the 5th note is a D. And so we know that a G major chord has a G, a B, and a D in that chord. A G, a B, and a D. It should be pretty simple to understand. If we are in the C major scale, the 3rd note is an E, and the 5th note is a G. So in the C major scale, when we in the key of C, when we make a C major chord, we're going to have the notes C, E, and G. Now these things are important on how to build major chords and how to find major scales, and if you're confused about any of this, if any of what I'm saying right now is confusing to you, could be just because I'm not very clear in the way I speak. In that case, it's on me. But then it could be that you have not fully understood and digested the previous lessons on music theory. And so if you need to, go back and study those, because we are going to study arpeggios in this section, the major arpeggios. And in order to understand an arpeggio, you have to be able to understand the major chord and how to find the notes of the major chord. So if necessary, just go ahead, stop this video, go back and study lessons 1, 2, and 3, paying particular attention to the music theory portions. Okay, just by way of encouragement here, I think it's important that I emphasize that you're not going to have to memorize all the notes of every scale, of every major chord, the triads, note names for every major chord or anything like that in this lesson. You will come to know the notes over time. You know, if you're going to be a musician for the rest of your life, then yes, over the years, you'll become more and more familiar with these things. But by way of encouragement, I just want to tell you the main thing is that we understand the concepts right now. We know how to find a major scale using the little tricks and tips that we've learned. We can find a major scale from any note on the mandolin, and we can find the notes of the major chord by using patterns within those scales. And so we're going to teach you some patterns for finding arpeggios in any key, anywhere on the mandolin. And in this lesson, that's primarily what we're going to be concerned about. It's important that you understand the concepts behind this so that you know what's going on. It only helps you down the road musically, and eventually over time you will learn more and more about the note names and where you're at on the neck. But at this point, in the next video, which is coming up here in just a moment, we are going to study how to find the arpeggios, and we're going to be talking about patterns that you can use to find your way around the mandolin. You don't have to know the names of all the notes. If you know the name of the note that you start on, you will be way ahead of the game, and then the notes that make up the arpeggios will come easily because you will have these patterns to guide you. And so, on to the next video.